Hello everyone. So today we're just going to go over the news in Star Stable. I figured I might as well start doing this because I've already covered a few news topics. So it's the H&M All-In update where they added 2 new horses for us to buy. Not interested in this update at all personally. But the one thing that I did find interesting about this, I think these new races will be fun, just to have new races in the game, something to do. That's nice. Um, They also, the thing that I found interesting is, where is it? The part where, here it is, right here. Um, this part about Star Stable actually being at an event for people to meet them. I think it's amazing that Star Stable is actually taking the time to do something horse related for once. The overwhelming majority of their horses so far have been done with, you can tell, absolutely no face-to-face interaction with these horses. You can tell that they just don't know anything about them. I think the best example would be the Tennessee walking horse. I'm going to crap on this horse for the rest of my life. The the Tennessee walking horse was so horribly done, and you can tell they never actually interacted with the animal. There are a few more in here that I can tell are definitely like that, where they definitely didn't. Pasofino's another one. I can just tell that they had absolutely no interaction with the animal and then just decided to go from there and make a horse, and it reflects in the quality. Um, yeah, another one for sure that I think they actually did an amazing job with is the Lipizan. I think somebody on their team actually really, really cared. That's really cool. Nag Stripper, I don't think anyone really interacted with those horses before making them, but I digress. So, I think that this new update is actually interesting. I think it's really cool that Star Stable is actually going to have some interaction with horses, that they actually are involving themselves in the horse sphere. Um, I think they should be very careful with what they support. So recently, and this has been everywhere, so if you haven't heard about this, you can look it up and watch a video that's way more in depth than this. FEI removed the blood rule, basically saying that you can have your horses in the show ring and they can be bloody and they don't care. This opens the door for a lot of horse welfare issues. So when it comes to high level competitions, such as like stadium show jumping and dressage and, you know, the stuff that FEI is involved in, I get really suspicious when I see Star Stable promoting this kind of stuff. I worry that either they didn't do their research or they're, like, that they're okay with this kind of stuff. I don't know. I highly doubt it's that. I highly doubt Star Stable would be okay with the allowance of abuse in the show ring with horses. I don't think they would, but I think that's why it's a very fine line. You have to be very careful about who you support. So just, to support a horse that retired, to show like this is something that's happening in Sweden, that's where this game was created, where the developers work. I think it's okay to support that, just to remind the audience of where this game has come from. I don't think this is a bad thing. But what I do think is a bad thing is if they support this kind of stuff like with FEI. This is towing a very fine line, I think, between those. Um, I think people will like this update. Again, just because of like the real life hype behind it and being able to meet the Star Stable team, like announcing that they're going to be somewhere and like actually be able to be meet. Like, if I had the money, I would go to Sweden just to meet them. I really would. Yeah, right there. From November 27th to 30th, in honor of this collaboration, Star Stable will be joining the H&M booth at the show. We'd love to meet our community there. That is so cool. Like, I would love to do it. I really, really would. But I can't. because yeah, I don't have a few $1,000s just sitting around to go to Sweden for no reason. So, but aside from that, yeah, that's really my only opinion on this is Star Stable. I think that they should pay attention to the things that they're supporting. I think that things like certain rodeos, the Olympics, um, certain FEI, things like that. I don't think that Star Stable should support that or show their support for that. I really don't. Um, there is so much abuse that goes on in FEI and in rodeos that I think it needs to be looked into. And I don't think that this game that is about horses and stuff like that should support those organizations. I think they should make their own in game and promote the welfare of the horses and the other animals in the game just to show like this can be done. It can be done in an ethical way. We can we can strive to make that change and just not support those other companies because the abuse in FEI and rodeos and stuff is never going to stop if we keep showing them to our kids and promoting it to our kids. So if you want to learn more about that, Cats Creatures and Raleigh Link both do some fantastic videos about what I'm talking about. They do an amazing job covering it. I think that those are two creators that should be watched. However, just for Star Stable and things like that, to keep the topic light, I think that this is going to be a really interesting update. I mean, for practicality, I think it's going to be, hey, there's a few more races that you can do to get some more horse experience, and that's going to be like the TLDR. But yeah, I'm sure someone will be interested in buying these horses, but that person is not me. So if you are interested, there are 2 new horses for you to buy. There are these new events. I mean, it looks like it'll be interesting enough, so we'll see how it goes.